Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving into the invisible forces that silently power, well, absolutely everything in our modern lives. We're looking at the ultimate hidden engine of the universe. It's an engine you can't see, you can't touch, and you definitely can't hear it, but it completely dictates how we communicate, how we cook our food, and honestly, how we even perceive reality itself. We are talking about the legendary Maxwell's equations.
So, think about this for a second. What connects your smartphone, your microwave, and the light traveling to us from distant stars? I mean, on the surface, sending a quick text message feels completely different from reheating yesterday's coffee, right? Or looking up at the night sky. But the amazing truth here is that they are all governed by the exact same physical phenomenon.
Just picture a transmitting radio tower sending a signal to a receiving antenna. How does that signal actually cross the empty space between them? The answer to our big question lies right there in the middle, in that invisible wave traveling across the void. But to understand how that wave gets there in the first place, we really need to understand the fundamental rules of the game.
Section 1. The 4 Rules of Electromagnetism.
Okay, so before James Clerk Maxwell came along, scientists basically had pieces of this massive, disjointed puzzle. First, you had Gauss's law for electricity, which established that electric charges produce electric fields. Think of like static electricity pulling a balloon to a wall. Then Gauss's law for magnetism proved that magnetic monopoles simply do not exist, meaning magnetic field lines always form closed loops. Basically, every North Pole has a South Pole. No exceptions. Later on, Michael Faraday had this massive breakthrough. He demonstrated that changing magnetic fields actually produce electric fields, which, by the way, is a principle we still use in generators today. And finally, the original Ampere's law stated that electric currents produce magnetic fields. But there was a mathematical contradiction in Ampere's law when you applied it to certain circuits. To fix this, Maxwell added a critical unifying piece to the whole puzzle.
And that brings us to the displacement current. Maxwell's absolute stroke of genius was realizing that a changing electric field also produces a magnetic field. Now, I know that might just sound like a tiny theoretical tweak to balance out an equation, but this was the missing mathematical link that literally changed human history. Without this specific realization, the math simply wouldn't allow for electromagnetic waves to exist in free space at all.
Section 2. The infinite wave leapfrog. So, how does this invisible engine actually move energy? Well, imagine an electric charge is just vibrating up and down. Because it's moving, it produces a changing electric field. And thanks to Maxwell's insight, we know this changing electric field instantly generates a changing magnetic field. Then, because of Faraday's law, that newly changing magnetic field immediately creates a changing electric field all over again. These fields are continuously regenerating each other. It's this incredible self-sustaining leapfrog effect. The electric field creates the magnetic field, which creates the electric field, pushing the wave endlessly forward through empty space. It doesn't need wires. It doesn't need a medium like water or air. It's an entirely self-powered, invisible engine just propagating through the universe.
Section 3. Maxwell's greatest prediction.
Now, Maxwell was a physicist and a mathematician, and he wanted to know exactly how fast this invisible leapfrogging engine was actually moving. So, from his refined equations, he successfully derived the speed of these theoretical electromagnetic waves. He calculated it using just 2 known constants of nature, the permeability and the permittivity of free space. Essentially, he used the fundamental magnetic and electrical resistance of a pure vacuum to calculate a definitive velocity. And that number? 3 × 10⁸ meters per second. Just take a moment to really appreciate the magnitude of that. That is 300 million meters per second. When Maxwell solved his equation, this wasn't just some random, unimaginably large number. No, it was a value that had already been independently measured by other scientists in a completely different, seemingly unrelated context. It was the measured speed of light. Which led Maxwell to a totally world-shattering conclusion. Light is an electromagnetic wave. This is, without a doubt, arguably the ultimate aha moment in the entire history of physics. By simply trying to resolve how electricity and magnetism relate to each other, Maxwell accidentally uncovered the fundamental nature of light itself. The glow of the sun, the colors we see every day, it's all just electric and magnetic fields performing that infinite leapfrog through space.
Section 4. Powering the modern era.
Once humanity understood that visible light was just one narrow type of electromagnetic wave, we realized we could engineer our own invisible waves to carry energy and information. Because of Maxwell's equations, we have radio broadcasting, satellite communication, and that mobile phone sitting right in your pocket. We have the Wi-Fi you're using to stream this explainer right now. We have radar, microwave ovens, GPS mapping, deep space communication, and our entire power transmission grid. I mean, nearly every single piece of wireless technology we rely on today owes its absolute existence to Maxwell's theoretical work. Without it, our modern world literally vanishes.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Take a look around the room you're sitting in right now. Between the Wi-Fi router, the cell phone towers outside, the radio stations broadcasting miles away, and the visible light hitting your eyes. How many of these invisible waves are passing through your space at this very second? You are sitting inside a vast, imperceptible ocean of energy and information, all endlessly leapfrogging at 300 million meters per second, perfectly dictated by the 4 equations we just explored. It's happening right now, silently, all around you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your mind open to the invisible engines of our world.